Welcome back. You're watching Big Deal, and we are discussing the revival of investments in the infrastructure space. So, Suresh, talking about the overall sector, you have been an investor in the country and you have a long-term view as well. What are the uncertainties and challenges that you face, which, if ironed out, you'll be much more positive?
Quite a few.
You have a long wish list.
All of us have. But I think what gives me confidence is that those issues are getting resolved as we go forward. But certainly on the power side, which is quite a substantial sector, can take up a lot of investments and is quite fundamental to the overall growth of the country. I think once we have more clarity emerging on the policy side, particularly on the PPAs, which have kind of dried out over the last couple of years, I think would give, shall we say, a new whiff of fresh air to that sector. That certainly I would sit right on top. And the number two would be around the telecom infrastructure, right. Given that we are in a phase in which there is a fair bit of volatility. Once this volatility settles down, again, there will be a need for a lot of capital to go in, because that capital then needs to build up that infrastructure, which will then need to support the growth in the telecom market.
About the put call issue also. So the recent court verdict on Tata Docomo on the enforcement of an arbitration ruling in India, does that throw positive signals when it comes to contractual agreements in India for the investors?
See, I think for any investor, whether foreign or domestic, I think the strength of the contract is paramount. And what we are glad about is that the courts have upheld the contract that was entered into between two parties. And to an extent, it portends well for the foreign investors which have invested or are looking to invest into India.
All right, but I will not let you go before you tell me. So what we do gather that you have a few $1 billion to invest over the next few years. So you are probably at a sweet spot where things are just about picking up, hopefully. Which are the pockets that you would be most interested in? And given the kind of valuations in the equity markets, are you more at an exit mode or an entry mode right now?
I wouldn't say that we have billions of dollars, but yes, Macquarie being the world's largest infrastructure investor and India being a very important country for us, yes, we have substantial capital and our investors are quite keen that we deploy that capital in India. We generally look for opportunities which meet the returns that match the risks that they generate. But so as such, I can't say that something is more favorite to me than others. But having said that, I think road sector is tending to be a little toppy at this point in time. So maybe one has to be a little more careful and to what kind of transactions what one can do. But at the same time, there are other areas like power, original capital that went into renewables, transmission, which would be quite interesting for us to look at as we go forward. InvITs, yes, is a great opportunity as well. And on the exits, which you asked, we have a base case against each of the investments that we do. So there are certain investments that were done in Fund 1, which are now ripe for exit. We have demonstrated one exit. The other one is in progress at this point in time. So we are quite hopeful that we will be able to achieve good exits and give returns to our investors.
What kind of returns do you generally look at, if I may ask?
Depending on how you invest, what time you invest, it could go a little on the up or a little on the bottom. But I think they operate in a narrow range. So I would say from that perspective, I think mid-teens to high teens is a good number to work with.
And you're getting that?
So far, yes.
All right. So return expectations, are they on the higher side, Manish? And that's what is stopping some of the investments at this point?
I would say that at least, let's say, in a sector like renewables, with the way the bids are happening, the returns are getting recalibrated. And there is a disconnect between what the investors want to come in. So they surely want to come in. But what is the Indian risk-free currency rate factor in what is the return they want to invest in and what is the return that a seller is wanting them to in. There's some disconnect there.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and happy deal making for the year in the infrastructure space. And we will also keep an eye on all that money that is really flowing in for the revival of this sector. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Big Deal. Thanks so much for tuning in.